Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Welcome to Mojo Plays, and today we're ranking every Resident Evil remake. Though they haven't been super frequent, arguably, Resident Evil has seen a handful of revisions for some of its most notable entries. But which one is the best? And which one is your favorite? Let us know down in the comments. Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to Mojo Plays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Resident Evil Deadly Silence.
Barry! Where's Barry?
Well, I'm sorry, but he's probably...
No!
Yes, we do know that this is technically a remaster, but the altered controls and texture work fit our definition of a remake. Just because it's low on the list does not mean Deadly Silence is a bad game, though critics at the time were lamenting RE1 getting yet another re-release. When looked at under the lens of what it is and does, Deadly Silence deserves recognition for how it manages to migrate the PS1 original to a handheld console. But the reason it's placed at the bottom of the totem pole here is because this isn't an ideal way to experience the first game unless you absolutely need Resident Evil on the go. At least the multiplayer was kind of cool, and the way Rebirth mode utilizes the DS's mic and touchscreen present a whole new way to relive the original. Enough to justify a higher price point than the 2002 remake? No.
Let's get going.
Resident Evil 3.
What are you talking about?
I don't have time to explain. You gotta get out of there right now!
Alright, let me grab my...
Much like Deadly Silence, RE3 is not at all a terrible game. It's solid, but after Capcom nailed their previous remake, there were many mistakes that left us scratching our heads. Why make Nemesis a scripted stalker rather than a free-roaming behemoth like Mr. X? This completely removed any intimidation he could have had if given a bit more agency. Then there was the mysterious removal of certain parts featured in the original, specifically the clock tower and the park. These were scenes that never really felt out of place to begin with, and it wound up shortening the game rather substantially. And lastly, you had dodging, which sort of worked. It is janky as hell to try and use effectively, but when the window to dodge is as tight as it is here, it feels pointless to use. This isn't to say you should avoid RE3 at all costs. As a Resident Evil game, it is still great to experience. But as a remake, which should typically improve upon original iterations with today's advancements in technology and innovative discoveries in game design, RE3 fumbles quite a bit. Resident Evil Revelations.
Think these things got to Chris and Jessica?
I hope not.
Hey, no one's saying Chris is dead.
Alright, then let's find him already.
It was shocking to see a Resident Evil game launch exclusively on Nintendo 3DS and manage to deliver a true Resident Evil experience. As impressive as the original version was, though, Revelations was improved for its enhanced HD release on modern hardware. The visuals blow the original out of the water thanks to the capabilities of standard home consoles, giving character models, enemies, and environments way more detail than the 3DS ever could. In addition to these enhancements, the HD version of Revelations comes with a little more content to enjoy in the form of a difficulty that changes enemy and item placement in the campaign, as well as more playable characters and weaponry for the raid mode. Just be aware that the controls might take a little bit of getting used to if you're jumping fresh out of one of the modern Resident Evil titles.
The storm is gone now. But how long will it last?
Resident Evil HD.
Hey, Wesker, where's Chris?
Jill, no. You don't want to go back out there.
But we've got to find...
What was that?
While it is weird that the first Resident Evil has yet to get the remake treatment its successors have seen, there is something special about RE-HD and how it sort of preserves the classic RE experience from the late 90s and early 2000s, alongside RE0, of course. No Jill sandwich in the world could make us turn down the classic clunky tank controls, the fixed camera angles, the somewhat uncanny valley-ish character models, and yes, the hokey voice acting and writing. There is something special about how this game manages to improve upon the original in terms of visuals and intuitiveness, yet it does so without completely dismantling the gameplay, art style, and overall tone. Because of this, you can easily tell somebody unfamiliar with the old days that if they truly want to experience Resident Evil prior to the modern remakes, this is it. And to this day, it is still worth playing.
You're wounded!
This whole place is a killing zone.
Resident Evil 2.
Don't shoot!
Get down!
It's funny to think about how RE2 has been regarded as the best game in the franchise both when it originally launched and when its remake was released 20 years later. And both have been dethroned by the same exact game in the same ways. But before we get into that, RE2 does deserve some time in the spotlight with its silver medallion. After all, this was the game that defined the phrase replay value by continuously rewarding the player for speedrunning campaigns, discovering secrets, unlocking new weapons, the whole shebang. Not only would the 2019 remake repeat the former success and load players up with that same level of replay value, it would also throw veteran players for a whirl due to the new camera perspective, making RE2 look and feel like a completely different game. At the time, it was hard to imagine anything could possibly turn out as brilliant as RE2 Remake until later down the road, when one remake was announced that had us all at the edge of our seats.
Please just go.
We're gonna make it. Both of us.
Resident Evil 4.
Help him, he said.
I'm sure you boys didn't come all the way out here to roast marshmallows. Maybe you did.
Before writing this video, Ty, I spent all of launch weekend playing Resident Evil 4 Remake. And when asked about my thoughts by friends and colleagues, the same two words kept popping up in my head. Truly spectacular. While it does omit a few segments from the original as RE3 Remake did, RE4 Remake manages to surpass the original. And no, we are not just saying that because of the improved controls and the ability to, move around while shooting, which was not in the original either. Leon and Ashley are written and portrayed in a way that's a bit more realistic than their depictions in the original game. Weapons feel just as satisfying to use as they have in the other RE remakes. The boss fights, puzzles, and combat encounters all present their own ideas and challenges to test your wit and skills. On top of that, there's a level of interactivity that few games ever really think about even today. Yes, you can shoot that stick of dynamite in the villager's hand and blow him to bits. Yes, you can aggravate that cow and get it to start attacking people. Yes, you can trick enemies into hurting each other. Yes, you can shoot that hatchet out of the air. The ridiculousness of the action and the tighter focus on story have somehow made RE4 Remake vastly better than the 2005 original, and that is something we did not think we would be saying prior to Capcom's first showcase of the game all the way back in June 2022.
Jesus Christ!
Did you enjoy this video? Check out some of our other videos here on Mojo Plays, and don't forget to subscribe for more great content every day.